Okay, welcome everyone to Mr. Potter's review for the DPM. So this is going to be probably a couple little lectures long. It's going to follow your review sheet that you got. So this lecture we're going to start off with Texas regions. Okay, so Texas regions, we're talking about a couple things in Texas. So there's going to be a couple definitions that we're going to want to keep in mind. So our first definition is going to be geography, which is just study of the land. Okay, study of the land slash slash physical features of the earth. Sorry. So that's it for geography. So anytime it asks you, like, what's the geography of a region, that's going to be mountains, rivers, basins, canyons, all of that. Another definition that would be useful to know will be climate. So climate, you should know this from science also. Climate is long-term weather. So examples of this are hot. If some place is always hot, it's always cold, wet, dry. Those are the common ones that you're going to hear as we're talking about this. So, next definition that's good to know is agriculture. So agriculture, just think of farming. Think of growing corn, wheat, potatoes, anything like that is agriculture. That's all you need to know for that one. Don't forget what economy. Oh, I spelled economy wrong. Economy. So economy, you're just thinking of money. Anything that's making money. So if you're doing agriculture and you're selling it, you're making money, that's part of the economy. So that's pretty simple. So again, geography is physical features of the earth. Climate is long-term weather. Agriculture is farming. Economy is money. So hopefully with those, we'll be able to understand better. I forgot one more. I'll just say it. So don't forget about natural resources. That's just stuff you find in the ground. Coal, iron, gas, petroleum. Kind of like gas. Petroleum makes like plastic and stuff. So that's about all you need to know for that one. So we are going to go through each of the regions. We're not going to talk about everything you see on the screen. We're just going to do a quick rundown of it. So Gulf Coastal Plains. So Gulf Coastal Plains, that is going to be where we live. Hold on, let me pull up a Texas regions map. Images. Let's see. Here we go. So Coastal Plains is going to be right here. We have Houston where we live. We have San Antonio, Corpus Christi, all of that here. So climate, as we remember, climate is weather. So climate is hot and humid. The summers are hot, humid. They have mild winters. We get a lot of rain here, so it is a wet climate. If we're looking at landforms, it has the Bout Coast escarpment. Remember, escarpment, as you see in the picture here, it's kind of flat, and then it drops down. That's an escarpment. You don't need to know that as much, but it's just good to remember. Resources. Remember, resources are what we can get on the land. We have vegetables, grains, citrus fruits, hay. Remember, that is agriculture, farming. Poultry, beef, and corn. Fish, and we have a lot of oil here. We have a lot of petroleum plants here in Houston. So, the Gulf Coast, it's pretty much, it's flat, it's hot, it's humid. We'll do something to help remember some of this later on. So next, I'm gonna head to the North Central Plains right here, kind of Dallas, Fort Worth. So it's similar to the Gulf Coastal Plains. It has hot and slightly humid summers, not as humid as down here. It has mild winters, but they can get snow, and the winters can get a little colder than us. They get freezing more than we do, freezing temperatures. So landforms, those rolling hills. Again, we're going to do something to help us remember this later, but rolling hills is the best way to think about it. There's a lot of farming, agriculture. We'll talk about the Native Americans later. Remember, the Native Americans who lived here, they were sedentary. They didn't move because there was a lot of good farmland for them to just farm on, so they didn't need to be nomadic. So, and peaches, pecans, again, more agriculture, very food heavy. Next, we're going to do the Great Plains here. Great Plains comes down from Oklahoma down to the center of Texas. Okay, so again, Great Plains is right here. So it's very flat. I mean, incredibly flat. It just goes on and on and on. So it's going to be pretty dry, actually. It's hot summers, very dry, though, not that humid. But they do have some semi-chilly winters and a lot more snowfall. Excuse me. But it has enough rain to support plants, though. We'll say that. So, landforms, we have almost to the Rio Grande, so you can kind of say it, but there's a lot of plateaus, canyons, aquifers. If you don't remember what an aquifer is, hold on. Oh, well, so I'll just do a little drawing here. An aquifer, let's see, this is the ground. Oh, here, can I change the color real quick? Yes. Okay. You have the ground, you have dirt, and then under the dirt, there's water. Now, it's not like an actual lake of water underground. The water is just sitting in the dirt. That is an aquifer. So we have the Edwards Aquifer. You don't really need to know this for the DPM, but again, good reminder. Now, resources. So there's some trees. There's a lot of grazing. So a lot of ranching going on here. They have a lot of coal, uranium, oil, gas. So again, these are natural resources that we find in the earth. Next, we're going to go to the mountains and basins. This one should be pretty easy when you think about what the geography is. It's mountains and basins. So the climate here is very dry. It's a desert. So it's hot in the day, cold at night. And it gets pretty cold when you go up to the mountains. So you do have the mountain ranges. Tallest mountain, I think it's, right there, Guadalupe Peak. 8,000 feet high. It's the west border of Texas. We have the Rio Grande right here, which separates our border with Mexico. This region, for resources, this region has a lot of petroleum. Again, kind of think of gasoline, natural gas. They have limestone, shale rock, clay. Again, you don't need to memorize these, but just to help you know the region. So if it asks you which region has mountains, it's mountains and basins, okay? Okay. So to do an exercise to help us remember all of these, we're going to have our hand in the shape of an L. You might have seen your teacher do this, and we're going to go through it again. I highly suggest you do this if you're having trouble with the Texas regions. So you have your hand out. If you just have your hand out in front of you. So immediately you're going to notice it kind of looks like Texas, okay? Kind of a crude Texas, but a Texas. So hold on, let me see if I can do some drawing real quick. Okay. So if you have Texas, so let's say we're going to split this up. Okay. So this would kind of be our Texas. So first, we're gonna look at our the bottom part connected to our wrist. So how I like to remember this is as you're holding your finger out like this and making an L, the area on the other side of your hand is going to start getting pretty sweaty, right? Just like the Gulf coastal plains, it is very humid and wet. Very humid and wet. It's going to be kind of sweaty back there. And it's going to be flat too. If you're looking at your hand, it's flat. There's not a lot of bumps there. It's flat. Now we're going to move up to our knuckles. Our knuckles are rolling. And remember, the North Central Plains are very hilly. They have a lot of hills. If I forgot to mention that, I'm mentioning it now. Sorry. But it's very hilly. That's the main selling point of it. It's very hilly. So knuckles, hilly. So now we're going to move on to your index finger. This is going to be our Great Plains. So the Great Plains, it goes all the way up. It's come down. It's pretty flat. Unlike the other part of your hand, which the back of it is wet or sweaty, this one is dry. This one in the mountains and basins, they are dry because they are drier in climate. And as I said, your thumb is going to be mountains and basins. So there's not really a trick to remember this. I mean, you could maybe say because your thumb is pointing out, it's kind of like mountains sticking out of the ground. Well, that's kind of far-fetched. The best thing I can give you is you just remember mountains and basins. Remember on the other side of your hand for Gulf coastal region, your hand starts getting sweaty. It's a humid climate. That's the best I can help you remember there. So that was kind of a quick overview of Texas regions. Again, it was kind of fast. Should be able to help you answer your review if you haven't already finished that, or should hopefully done at that by this point. Okay, so next time we will do a quick. Actually, you know what? We'll cover it right now. Actually, so what we're going to cover now is we are going to cover Native Americans. So I'm not going to go and talk about each of the Native American groups, okay? We have the Puebloan, we have... Hold on, let me see if I can... Copy image. Why don't we put this in our PowerPoint and we can just use this image real quick. Well, it doesn't want to work right now. Well, why it's trying to... Oh, I'm drawing. Oh, sorry, guys. So, why I'm getting this up... Okay. Now, I can go back to drawing. So, remember, we have the Pueblos, which are going to be over here. We're going to have the... I have to do a K for Karankawas, which is going to be over here. You have the Comanche, which are going to be all in the Great Plains. And then over here, you're going to have our other Native American tribe. I can't remember the name. I'll look it up while we're doing this. So the biggest thing we need to know about Native Americans for the DPM is why were they different? Why were the Puebloans different than the Comanche? Why were the Comanche different than the Karankawa? So why were they different? That's what really matters. So the best way to remember it is we're going back to, again, Texas regions. We're looking at geography, study of the land, physical features of the land. Geography is going to change how these Native Americans live. Remember, the Puebloans, they live in these adobe houses made of mud because that's all they have. If you go to the Caddo, that's the name. There you go, I got it. Caddo, who live over here, they live in these huge grass houses. Remember, it's kind of like a skirt, and it's just skirts and skirts of grass because that's what they have. They have a lot of grass there. Comanches, remember, they live in their teepees made of buffalo skin because they had buffalo. the Karankawa. They were nomadic, and they went from place to place trying to find food. So it's going to be geography. Geography is going to be our main deciding factor on how Native Americans live. Native Americans don't live that way because they want to. It's how they are going to survive. Sorry, getting a drink right there. Let's... Oh, yeah, I need to turn off my draw. Here we go. Okay, let's do nomadic. Oh gosh, you didn't have me spell a word. Hold on. Sedentary. There we go. So, did I spell nomadic wrong? Oh, I did. I'm so sorry. Sedentary. So, the way I like to remember sedentary and nomadic is I don't really have a word to remember nomadic, but I know if I know sedentary, I'll know what nomadic means because it's the opposite. So, how I remember sedentary is, imagine you have a cup. You have a cup and it is filled with water. Let me see if I can find this. So it's filled with water, and we are going to drop sand in it, okay? So if we're dropping sand into the water, what the sand's going to do? The sand is going to fall to the bottom, and it is going to settle there. You know, like people say, it's settling on the bottom. When I think of settling, I think of sedentary. Settling, sedentary. They sound very similar. And because the sand is going to go to the bottom, and it's going to stay there once it lands there. So, sedentary, they don't move. They stay in one place. And if we know that in sedentary, like the sand falling down, means they can't, they don't move. Nomadic means that they move. They move around. Again, what is the determining factor for nomadic or sedentary? It's going to be geography, how the land is, what food is there, what natural resources are there. So that's what we're talking about with human. That's what we're talking about with Native Americans. Sorry. Okay, one more time. Texas regions. Hold out your hand. Remember, we're gonna have, starting from the base of the wrist, we have the sweaty part of our hand. That's gonna be Gulf Coastal regions. Then the North Central Plains with the rolling knuckles, the rolling hills. The Great Plains, it's dry and flat. And then sticking out is our mountains and basins. It is dry and mountainous. Again, hopefully doing the test, if you do that, you can just stick out that L in front of you and you can figure out what you need to do. So that is going to be my wrap up of Texas regions. If you're in one of my classes, just ask me a question, ask Coach Jones, ask Ms. Belamovich, ask Mr. Atkins. If you have any questions, please ask, because the DPM is going to be a major grade. Don't wait until the last minute to ask us. Just ask us if you don't know. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time to talk about government.